This morning we're learning new information about the U.S. Space and Rocket Center's Save Space Camp campaign. Right now it's raised nearly $300,000. That's just in the last 24 hours, Marie.
A really impressive number so far. Now, due to the pandemic, the center must raise at least $1.5 million to keep the museum open past October and be able to reopen Space Camp in April of next year. So here's a look at the pandemic's impact on the center directly. The center said it lost 2/3 of revenue. In May, it laid off 1/3 of its full-time employees. We also know it wasn't able to employ an additional 700 part-time employees who typically work there. The center told us the museum and Space Camp are crucial to the growth we're seeing in our area.
The community, when the city, when the chamber brings potential companies to Huntsville for possible investment in infrastructure, what I have been calling the Statue of Liberty for Huntsville is ground zero. It seems to always culminate and center right here at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center.
The center said it usually generates about $120 million in annual revenue for the state. If you would like to donate, we have a link on our website right now for you to do so. Just click on it once you open waytv.com.
And joining us right now via Zoom, Pat Ammons with the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. Pat, good to see you again. Good morning.
Good morning, Pat.
You have to feel good, though, so far about the response with the donations that you're seeing to save the museum and Space Camp, right?
It's just been gratifying. You know, just reading through the comments on the GoFundMe page that we've set up for this campaign have been so gratifying. So many people who have come to Space Camp, so many people donating on behalf of engineers and their families, other people who've gone on to do great things from having that experience at Space Camp.
Pat, we want to remain as optimistic as we can, but what happens if you don't reach that goal of $1.5 million by next April?
This $1.5 million really needs to be raised by October, and that $1.5 million is a minimum that we need to keep the doors of the museum open. We are shutting down our week-long programs in September because most of our students who come in the fall and winter are either international students or their school groups, and of course those won't be coming this year. So we are going to shut down our week-long programs, and because of that there'll be a major layoff of Space Camp staff. It's heartbreaking. It's not something any of us expected or could have ever wanted, but the reality is without revenue we can't sustain employment.
Absolutely.
And we are a self-sustaining institution. That's the way we were set up, is to operate on our own generated revenue. So without that, we have challenges ahead of us.
Let's talk about that, because I remember the last time that we talked to you, we had you on a couple of months ago, and we knew that there was a potential for something like this to happen. So is there another way of thinking about sustaining with the funding mechanism? You talked about you couldn't tap into the CARES Act. Is there a way of getting some tourism dollars, perhaps, or another way to keep the Space and Rocket Center alive?
Well, you know, that's the challenge, is everybody's having these issues. I mean, the State Tourism Department is going to be tremendously hit by the coronavirus pandemic because they are funded through lodging taxes. So no one's traveling, no one's staying in hotels. So this is just a trickle-down effect of the 4 months that we've been dealing with this full-fledged pandemic here in the United States.
Yet this is
around the world.
You're absolutely right. Yet this is providing an economic ripple effect across communities. So it's important. And I think lawmakers look at this too. You know that, Pat. Have any of them stepped up with a potential funding solution?
They're all supportive of us. We've had so much positive support from legislators here in our state to our regional and national level leaders are all very supportive of what we're doing, but their hands are tied too, because the way a lot of these laws are written, they, you know, like with the CARES Act money, that was only to offset costs related to COVID. So if we needed supplies and things like that to help us with that, that funding was there for that. But for us, that's just a drop in the bucket for what we're dealing with, which is lost revenue.
All right, you said October is really that deadline where you need that money. What are your parting thoughts? We've got just a few seconds left. What's at stake here? Why should people donate to keep Space Camp and the Space and Rocket Center alive and running here in Huntsville?
We inspire the future. This is the work we do every day, and just go to those pages and see all that commentary. I got an email last night from a young lady in New York, a 13-year-old, who had reached out to Good Morning America on behalf of the U.S. Space and Rocket Center and Space Camp because it meant so much to her. Wow. It's too important to let
It certainly is. There was a great comment yesterday about Huntsville's Statue of Liberty, and it certainly is. Hey, we should mention we do have a link on our website if you'd like to donate. Pat Ammons, in the meantime, with the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. Always good to see you. Good luck with Save Space Camp and that effort there. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you, Pat. Time now 6:10.
And typically at this time, we will be tracking the sunrise, but you'll notice that we have widespread low clouds throughout North Alabama this morning. This includes Decatur looking off to the east, but these are low clouds, a little bit different than fog, so these are a couple thousand feet above the ground. So we're not seeing any major visibility issues throughout North Alabama. You'll notice the lowest visibility that we're seeing is 7 miles into Albertville, but that's not that bad. Again,